more PlayStation news in today's show.
Oh my God,
Days
you gotta
Gone
be
Remastered,
fucking kidding me,
the
bro.
definitive version of Ben Studios'
Yo,
post-apocalyptic
PlayStation is
open
cooked.
world epic comes to PS5 with
PlayStation
VRR
is
support
cooked.
and PS5 Pro support.
Oh my God, bro, it's over.
It also includes added content like permadeath and speedrun modes, an enhanced photo mode, new accessibility features,
PlayStation
and
is
Assault,
desperate.
a survival
Please.
arcade mode with
At this
increased
point, they
horde
might as well
sizes
just
that will
start a
provide fresh
GoFundMe,
way
bro.
to experience Days Gone.
Just start a GoFundMe if you need money this
And if you
bad,
purchase
man.
Days Gone on PlayStation 4, you can upgrade to a digital version of Days Gone Remastered and get all the content
Days
and
Gone did
features
not
for
need a
$10.
remaster. They don't even
Days
want
Gone
to fuck with
Remastered
Days
launches
Gone.
on
Why would they
PS5
remaster this?
April
That's
25th.
crazy, bro.
And more.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What's going on, guys? So, yesterday was Sony State of Play. You know, there's a lot to take into account here. And what I observed, ironically, is the one thing people are not talking about, but they made a big deal of it with Microsoft. So we're going to go ahead and go into all of this. We're going to be very calm and simple to the point for this. We're going to explain this very, very well, because holy shit, there are so many L's that were handed out. And I'm not just talking about the garbage clowns at Icon Era. I'm not talking about the owner of it. No, I'm talking about the full on just destruction of a narrative that's been thrown around so much that arguably I get annoyed even seeing it, because dudes just flat out just exposed themselves to the eighth degree at this point. What am I talking about? Well, let's go ahead and get into it. So as you guys already know, State of Play was yesterday, but before we get into the State of Play, let's go ahead and go into a point that's going to lead right into this. Let's go a little further back. Microsoft. Yes, we're going to talk about Xbox for a second here. Microsoft announced their Xbox Developer Direct, and they did their show, and their show prioritized their first-party content. Now, the thing about this particular show, and everybody was paying close attention to, was the Xbox Publishing. Xbox Publishing was the big focus for some reason, because they flat out said that the games they showed will be going to PlayStation or will be heading to PlayStation down the road, and more games are being talked about in the pipeline, like Hellblade 2, etc., etc. Again, notice how Xbox gamers are not complaining about this. In fact, many Xbox gamers are okay with this, because they know majority of the casuals are on the PlayStation. And if you look at the sales, with 63% of their sales being on the PlayStation, this all but confirms the theory. Now, of course, the PlayStation fanboys went to the extremes, or going to the extreme, of showing off screenshots of them buying and supporting these Xbox games. Mind you, most of these idiots said these games are trash, including Indiana Jones, and, called them failures. But yeah, here you are, completely disregarding your point and making them success stories, which is even more insane. You know what I don't see from these extremists, though? When it comes to the PlayStation-centric games, the ones that like to hype up, you notice how it's like less than half of them that show these receipts? Crazy, right? Now let's tie this into the PlayStation State of Play. One of the things I took away from, and granted, there was a lot of games here, right? But I can already see a lot of people are asking me, Bid, before you do that, what's your rating? Well, here's the thing. If you take PlayStation out of the equation, like if you take PlayStation out of the tagline and you take State of Play out of the tagline, and let's say you just put Paris Games Week, or better yet, you put Gamescom, or Summer Games Fest, or or whatever the case may be, you throw those in the tagline, and you just look at the games for what they were that was shown here. This is actually not a bad showcase in that regard. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't bad in that regard. I'm not going to go to the extreme of saying this show was horrible. No. No. I thought it was a good show for the games they showed. It was fine for that, especially when you take PlayStation and State of Play out of the equation. It's not a bad show in those regards. I would give it like a 7, maybe 8, just off of the games that were shown there. Now, let's come back to reality. When we have PlayStation in front of this and State of Play in this, which it was, this is where the things start falling apart. Number one of the biggest things that was not shown in here was a whole lot of first-party content from Sony. One of the biggest things I've asked for PlayStation is a roadmap on their upcoming games. I don't care if they're 3 years out, 2 years out. Show me what I invested into with PlayStation in general. Now, we did get one new announcement, and I'm going to say that as the last talking point because that one right there needs to be talked about. But aside from that, we didn't get anything. But there was something that a lot of people are not talking about in regards to this. And it's very similar to the Xbox, but in reverse. People were talking about it. Sony's, basically every game that Sony is publishing that was shown at the show, like Lost Souls aside, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They're going day and date into PC. That's right. Lost Souls aside is published by PlayStation and is going day and date in PC, and nobody's mentioning this, which is crazy. You know what also they're not mentioning is the fact that Stellar Blade is also going into PC, finally, with new DLC content added as well. This game is heading to PC. And what's even more funny about the whole Stellar Blade situation, people bitched about the Spider-Man, the cool Spider-Man mods. Oh, just wait till you see what's going to happen with Stellar Blades. I think a lot of you are going to be building rigs now. I'll tell you right now. Anyway, back to the point. Back to the point here. So, aside from those two games, right? Let's go to the other games that were shown here. Games that were shown here, and I'm just going to have them, go across the screen for you guys. I'm not even going to mention them, but I'm just going to talk. So majority of the games that were shown here, are actually most of the games, that were shown here are going to PC or they're going to Xbox and PC. Every single game that was shown here is a multi-plat. There was no new platform, no new game, tied to the ecosystem like a lot of you guys like to champion at all. In fact, the ones that quote-unquote were tied to the ecosystem are games that are from the PS2, like Omnimusha 2. That's tied to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Now, I know a lot of people might be complaining about cross-gen. This is the last year of cross-gen, so I'm not going to complain about that. This is the last year of it, so they're getting the most out of that. Okay, sure. But I don't really see people buying Omnimusha 2 on a PS4 and PS5. I just don't see that happening. Now, the sequel, that looks good, and guess what? That's going on Xbox. That's going to PC. You have options, which is insane. So now that you know that every single game that was shown at this show was a multi-plat, this now goes into the argument that dudes have made for the longest time. For the longest time, I've heard that exclusives are the reason to buy the PlayStation hardware. Yet I'm seeing so many dudes defend this show so passionately as how good it was and how many reasons Sony gave you, blah, 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 to buy into the ecosystem. It's almost as if just the games in general is just what makes you buy the console in general, not the exclusives. Because every game here is a multi-plat. Every game that was shown is a multi-plat. There was no exclusive anything at all. And speaking of exclusive, because I'm pretty sure somebody's going to say Sorrows. Sorrows is exclusive, Big Cloud? Well, let's talk about Sorrows. House Marquee answered the call, finally, after 5 years of this console being on the market. House Marquee was the only studio out of the new ones that was able to drop something new for PlayStation. And this game is Sorrows. Sorrows is their, they talk about it like it's a sequel, but let's just face it, it's the evolution of Returnal. It looks promising. We didn't see gameplay. They're promising us, gameplay later this year. So that game is going to look good. I loved Returnal. I thought Returnal was very, very cool. I loved the style. I loved how creative it was. It was definitely one of those fast-paced games that definitely was awesome to play. But now we're in a different type of hurdle. And now we have a new CEO in charge of the whole situation in regards to Sony. And I'm very curious to see what exactly is going to happen with Sorrows. Now, what do I mean by that? Remember, again, Lost Soul aside is day and date PC. This is a new game, ladies and gentlemen. A new game. Day and date with PC. I am very curious to see how they handle this game. Is Sorrows going to be another game that is day and date in PC from PlayStation Studios? Because let me tell you right now, as much as I love Returnal, and a lot of you love Returnal, Returnal didn't sell crazy copies. And I'm pretty sure Hiroki Totoki is very aware of this. I'm very curious to see what exactly they do with this game. And quite frankly, the team deserves it. This team deserves more eyes on their product. They're such a good developer. I am a big fan of their work. They made a believer out of me. I was one of the biggest doubters of their work, especially when it came to Returnal. They made a believer out of me. We even had a good sit down with them when we talked to the lead audio engineer in regards to the game, and we had a great conversation in an interview. It's on the channel. So trust me, I'm always going to be appreciative of what Housemarque brings. But at the same time, I want their work to be appreciated as well. So I got no issue if they do day and date with this. And I would kind of hope and push them to do this, especially Sony. I think this is the game where you strike where the iron is hot if you want crazier results. And Hiroki Totoki, this is definitely the time to do so. Now, with that being said, let's get into another announcement here that pissed people off. Me, again, I'm so numb to it because I knew it was coming. But you had dudes in denial like, oh, shut up. You listen to all these rumors and all this stuff. Yeah, okay. Every rumor that has come out for PlayStation has been 110% on the money. 110%. So when we saw Days Gone get a full-on remake or remaster for PC and PS5, the internet literally erupted into flames. No one cares about Days Gone getting a remaster, Sony. Just like nobody cares about new additional DLC. Why give us DLC for a game that you didn't greenlight the sequel for? What's the point of us getting invested into it for? You see what I'm saying? It makes no sense. People give John Garvin a lot of shit. John Garvin has every right to be upset after seeing how they've handled this IP. It makes no sense that John Garvin was literally not given a single, and I mean a single, chance to go back with the team and give us a part 2. Makes no sense. John Garvin, listen, keep your head up, brother. People saying he's upset for the sake of being upset. No, he's upset for the fact that his vision for a franchise was just cut in half. It was literally gutted by this platform. That's why. That's why he has every right to be upset about it. So it is what it is. Going into it though, I'm not buying this shit. I'm not buying it. Maybe somebody else is going to buy it, but it damn sure ain't going to be me. I'm not buying it at all. So it is what it is. But in terms of like, again, just looking at everything and just seeing how people reacted to this entire show. Hey, listen, I had a big smile on my face. I really, really did. Everything I said to the T and dude said I was crazy was proven true in a blink of an eye. And again, it is what it is. So I'm going to end this video by saying this. I told you so. Exclusives are on their way out, and Sony and Hiroki Totoki just showed you that in beautiful detail. And you dudes are over here defending the show, saying it was good, this, that, and the third. I'm sorry, I thought the exclusives made the show great. I thought the exclusives is the reason you buy into the platform. I thought the exclusives is the reason why PlayStation has just sold over 75 million or has shipped over 75 million consoles. I thought that was the reason, right? No. Exclusives are never the determining factor of a platform. No. The games and the ecosystem as a whole, in terms of the fun factor, will always sell the platform. People bringing up Nintendo. What about Nintendo? Nintendo has a legacy of being Nintendo. Nintendo games cost a fraction of what Microsoft and Sony games cost to produce. They don't have to pay voice actors, none of this crazy stuff. They literally just make their games. They sell like ridiculous amounts in the 30 million price range, etc., or 30 million sales range, excuse me, and they're good. Sony doesn't do this. Sony's games cost too much. That's why they're going into the publishing type of situation with these games now. More games everywhere, more games for everybody, more games and options for you, the consumer, and you benefit in the long run. This right here is a future that I'm 110% behind. I'm not going to sit here and argue about a plastic box that is limited like the PS5 Pro that can barely give you 60. They can't even give you 60, actually. I'm about to say barely. It can't even give you 60. We're not doing this. Times have changed. Options are available. And guess what? You can either get with the times and accept it, or you can sit back and cry and cope and seethe. And guess what? None of us will give a shit. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my video. Hope you guys enjoyed. As a PlayStation show, If you made it this long, I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. But as a third-party show without PlayStation's influence in terms of the titles, and you just throw anything else out there, you can give this an 8 because the games that were shown here were actually not bad. But in terms of Sony's catalog, well, at least we know what Sony has in store for us. One game, aside from the games that we've already known about that are now being ported to this year, which they confirmed are still dropping. So you got some content. But you got one game to look out for in 2026. So, hey, more on that later, I guess we'll see, with Intergalactic probably joining the fray as well. But that's pretty much it. Anyway, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys later. Y'all be good. Peace.